The silent switch. Marcus Chen had survived 3 assassination attempts in the past year. The 4th would have succeeded if not for the girl with flour on her cheek. He noticed her the moment he entered the charity gala, not because she stood out, but because she was desperately trying not to. While billionaires dripped in diamonds and designers, she wore a simple black dress that had clearly seen better days. Her hands trembled as she arranged champagne flutes on a serving tray. And there was that smudge of white powder on her face that she'd missed when cleaning up. A server, probably catering part-time to make rent. Marcus recognized the look in her eyes. He'd worn it himself once, back when he was sleeping in his car between coding sessions, living on ramen and ambition. Before Tech Vance became a household name, before the billions, before the constant security detail that he'd foolishly dismissed tonight to avoid drawing attention at this low-key fundraiser. Mr. Chen? A board member appeared at his elbow. The auction's about to start. Your usual scotch? Marcus nodded, barely listening as the man droned on about quarterly projections. His attention had snagged on something else. The girl had frozen mid-step, her eyes locked on his table. More specifically, on the drink being delivered to his seat. What happened next occurred in the space of a heartbeat. The girl stumbled, clumsily, obviously, directly into the path of the server carrying his scotch. Glasses crashed. Amber liquid splashed across the white tablecloth. The room fell silent as heads turned toward the commotion. "I'm so sorry." The girl's voice cracked with genuine distress. "I'm so sorry. Let me clean this up. Let me get you a new drink, Mr. Chen." She was already moving, grabbing napkins, soaking up the spill with shaking hands. The other server, a man Marcus had never seen before with eyes too hard for hospitality. Work had disappeared into the crowd. "It's fine," Marcus said, but she was already rushing toward the bar. She returned 2 minutes later with a fresh scotch, setting it down with both hands to keep from spilling. "Again, I apologize. This one's on me. I'm paying for it, out of my tips." Marcus studied her face. The fear in her eyes wasn't about losing her job. It was something deeper, more visceral, and it was directed not at him, but at the crowd behind him. "What's your name?" he asked quietly. Sophie Martinez." "Sophie, why don't you take your break now? You look like you need it." She nodded gratefully and hurried away. Marcus lifted the fresh scotch but didn't drink. Instead, he caught the eye of his head of security, stationed discreetly by the exit, despite Marcus's earlier dismissal. A subtle gesture brought the man to his side. "Run the security footage from the last 10 minutes, Marcus murmured. "Focus on the bar area and that server. Male. Mid-30s, scar above his left eyebrow." 20 minutes later, Marcus stood in the venue's security office, watching the footage replay for the 3rd time. The angle was perfect, crystal clear. The server, the one who'd brought the original scotch, glanced around before pulling a small vial from his pocket. A quick twist of his wrist, and something dissolved into the amber liquid. Then Sophie entered the frame. She'd seen it. She'd been carrying a tray of champagne glasses, witnessed the whole thing from 3 feet away, and the server hadn't even noticed her. The fear in her eyes made terrible sense now. "Pull him up in our databases," Marcus said, his voice hard as granite. The answer came back within minutes. Viktor Kozlov, former military, ties to organized crime, suspected in 2 unsolved murders, currently employed by Marcus's biggest corporate rival, a man who'd threatened during a hostile takeover attempt that Marcus would regret standing in his way. Marcus's hands clenched. "Find the girl, now." They found Sophie in the kitchen, tucked in a corner near the emergency exit, clutching her phone. She looked up as Marcus approached, and the relief in her eyes was quickly replaced by terror. "Please," she whispered. "I can't afford to lose this job. I have student loans, my mom's medical bills." "Sophie." Marcus crouched down to her level. "You saved my life tonight." She blinked. What?" "That drink was poisoned." "You saw him do it, didn't you?" Her face crumpled. "I thought I was going crazy. I thought maybe I'd imagined it, but the way he moved, so quick and sneaky, I've seen that look before. My father..." She stopped, swallowing hard. "My father died 6 months ago. The police said it was a heart attack, but he was healthy. He worked at a pharmaceutical company. Said he discovered something in the financial records. Something wrong." Marcus felt ice slide down his spine. "What company?" "Meridian Pharmaceuticals. The subsidiary of his rival's holdings. The one currently under federal investigation for falsified drug trials. Sophie, I need you to tell me everything. But first," he pulled out his phone. "I'm calling the police. And my lawyers. No one threatens my life. And no one gets away with murdering a good man trying to do the right thing." The next hours blurred together. Police statements, federal agents, Sophie told them about her father's cryptic warnings in his final weeks, the documents he'd hidden that she'd been too afraid to look at. Marcus had his team retrieve them within the hour. The evidence was damning: falsified trials, bribed officials, and yes, Antonio Martinez had been murdered, made to look like a heart attack. The same substance found in Sophie's father had been in Marcus's drink tonight. As dawn broke over the city, Marcus found Sophie in his company's conference room, wrapped in someone's suit jacket, staring out at the skyline. "You're the bravest person I've met," he said. She laughed, but it came out as a sob. "I'm terrified. I've been terrified for 6 months. You had every reason to walk away tonight, to convince yourself you'd seen nothing. Instead, you risked everything to save a stranger." "You're not a stranger," Sophie said softly. "I read about you when I was in college. You started with nothing, built something that changed the world. You were my dad's hero. He used to say, 'If Marcus Chen can make it with integrity, so can I.'" Marcus felt something crack in his chest. "Your father sounds like he was an exceptional man." "He was." Tears tracked down her cheeks. "He tried to do the right thing, and it killed him. I was so angry at him for not staying quiet, at myself for not being able to do anything about it. And tonight when I saw that man poison your drink, I couldn't let it happen again." "You did do something about it," Marcus said firmly. "You're doing it right now. Those documents will bring them all down. Your father's death will mean something." Sophie turned to face him, and in the pale morning light, she looked young and exhausted and unbreakable all at once. "What happens now?" she asked. Marcus smiled. Now we make sure your father's legacy lives on. I'm establishing a whistleblower protection fund in Antonio Martinez's name, and I'm hiring you." "What?" "Mr. Chen, I'm a college dropout with student debt and you have integrity," Marcus interrupted. "You have courage. Those aren't things you can learn in a classroom. I need people like you in my company. People who'll do the right thing even when it's terrifying." Sophie wiped her eyes. "I don't know what to say. Say you'll let me pay off your mother's medical bills. Say you'll let me fund the investigation into everyone involved in your father's death. Say you'll give me the chance to prove that good people don't have to finish last." She laughed then, a real laugh, startled and genuine. "That's a lot of saying yes." "Take your time," Marcus said. "But Sophie, thank you for the flower on your cheek, the trembling hands, and the bravest stumble I've ever witnessed." 6 months later, Marcus stood at a podium in the same venue where he'd almost died. The Antonio Martinez Whistleblower Protection Fund had just awarded its first grants. Sophie, now his director of corporate ethics, stood beside him. No flower on her face, no trembling in her hands. The man who'd ordered the poisoning sat in federal prison. 12 executives from Meridian Pharmaceuticals had been indicted, and Antonio Martinez's name was being cleared, his findings vindicated. "My father used to say that silence protects the guilty," Sophie told the assembled crowd. "But speaking up, standing up, that protects everyone else. Even when you're scared, especially when you're scared." After the ceremony, a young woman approached Sophie timidly. "I work at an investment firm," she whispered. "I've seen things, wrong things, but I'm so afraid." Sophie took her hand. "I know, but you're not alone. None of us are." Marcus watched from across the room as Sophie gave the woman his card, as she offered the same lifeline she'd been given. And he thought about how easily things could have gone differently, how close he'd come to never seeing another sunrise. All because of a poor girl with flour on her cheek, who switched a glass in silence and changed everything. Because sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stumble at exactly the right moment. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can offer is a chance. And sometimes the person who seems to have nothing has everything that matters.